My friends, history teaches us that every empire, every ruling class, and every political figure who built their power on deception eventually reaches the same point. The truth comes out. For years, people at the very top, including figures like Donald Trump, have sold us the idea that they are self made, that their fortunes, their empires, their influence are the result of personal genius and relentless work. But what if I told you that beneath the glittering towers, beneath the headlines, and beneath the rallies, there has always been a scam, a mechanism designed to enrich the few while convincing the many that it was all legitimate? That scam is now exposed. And the most powerful part of this revelation is not that one man is corrupt, but that the entire system that allowed him to rise, thrive, and survive is corrupt to its very bones. Tonight, I will walk you through 6 undeniable truths that reveal the scam, explain why it could no longer be hidden, and show how it affects all of us. One of the most persistent lies in American culture is the story of the self made billionaire. We are taught from childhood that if you work hard, play by the rules, and hustle day and night, you too can rise from nothing to unimaginable wealth. And figures like Donald Trump are held up as living proof of this myth. We are told he built towers from the ground up, negotiated deals with brilliance, and became a symbol of the American dream. But peel back the layers, and the truth could not be further from this illusion. Trump was not self made. He was born into wealth, into privilege, into a family already sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars. His father, Fred Trump, was a wealthy real estate developer who built his fortune with government subsidies, political connections, and systematic exploitation of workers and tenants. Donald was not a young man clawing his way from poverty. He was a child receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars annually in today's value beginning at the age of 3. By the time he reached adulthood, his family had transferred him the equivalent of over $400 million through trust funds, tax dodges, and direct cash infusions. Think about that for a moment. How many young people in America start their lives weighed down by student loans, medical bills, or minimum wage jobs, and yet they are told they didn't work hard enough when they struggle? Meanwhile, Trump begins with hundreds of millions at his disposal, loses it, squanders it, and is handed more again. That is not self made. That is systemic privilege dressed up as individual genius. This is not just about one man, it's about a structure that rewards those born into wealth with second chances, third chances, and fourth chances, opportunities never extended to ordinary people. When workers lose jobs, they often lose everything: their homes, their health care, their security. But when billionaires like Trump gamble and fail, banks line up to rescue them, politicians rewrite rules to protect them, and the media glorifies them as visionary risk takers. The scam here is psychological as much as economic. The ruling class wants us to believe in the myth of the self made billionaire because it keeps us blaming ourselves for our struggles. If we're not rich, it must be because we didn't work hard enough, we weren't smart enough, we weren't disciplined enough. That lie keeps the working majority divided, ashamed, and obedient, while the wealthy quietly pass fortunes from one generation to the next. Trump is not unique. He is the most visible example of a system that produces billionaires not through genius, but through inheritance, tax schemes, political favors, and outright fraud. His story reveals the truth about America's so called meritocracy. It's a stage play, a carefully scripted performance designed to convince the majority that success is earned while hiding the reality that it is inherited, protected, and shielded by a system built for the elite. For most Americans, bankruptcy is a nightmare. It means losing your home, your credit, your dignity. It means a stain on your financial record that follows you for years. But for Trump, bankruptcy was never a tragedy. It was a strategy, a calculated maneuver, a way to shed debt, abandon obligations, and walk away richer. Consider the casinos in Atlantic City. Workers showed up day after day, dealers, waitresses, janitors, all depending on those jobs to support their families. Local businesses supplied services, materials, and products. Investors put their savings into the promise of profitable returns. And what happened? Time and again, Trump's businesses collapsed into bankruptcy. But who actually suffered? Not Trump. He walked away with salaries, consulting fees, and legal protections. The workers lost jobs. The investors lost money. The contractors were never paid. The communities were hollowed out. This is not the story of a failed businessman. This is the story of a man who discovered that under American capitalism, failure for the rich is profitable. Bankruptcy laws, bank bailouts, and court protections were designed to shield the wealthy from the full consequences of their decisions. Trump used these tools like weapons. Each collapse was not the end of his empire. It was simply a reset button that allowed him to offload debts onto others while keeping his personal wealth intact. Think about the cruelty of this double standard. An ordinary worker who misses a rent payment can be evicted. Someone who defaults on a student loan has their wages garnished for decades. But when billionaires like Trump default on billions of dollars, the system protects them, excuses them, and even praises them for being savvy businessmen. This is the scam. Risk is socialized, profit is privatized, and yet this system is not broken. It is working exactly as designed. Bankruptcy protections for the rich were written into law by politicians funded by those same elites. Banks willingly extended Trump billions in loans not because he was reliable, but because they knew the government and the courts would protect their interests if things went wrong. The workers, the small contractors, the taxpayers, they became the safety net. Trump's use of bankruptcy as a business model exposes the deeper truth about capitalism. It rewards exploitation, not productivity. It praises manipulation, not innovation. It makes heroes out of men who destroy jobs, communities, and livelihoods as long as they walk away with profit. This is the real scam. It's not that Trump failed, it's that his failures were part of the plan all along, and the system ensured he would always land on his feet while everyone else paid the price. Taxes are supposed to be the price we pay for living in a civilized society. They fund schools, hospitals, roads, firefighters, and basic services that make our communities livable. But in America, taxes are not paid equally. For ordinary workers, taxes are unavoidable. They come out of every paycheck before it even reaches your hands. But for the wealthy, for people like Trump, taxes are optional. A game to be played, a puzzle to be solved by armies of lawyers and accountants. Trump once bragged that avoiding taxes makes him smart. But think about what that means. If he's not paying, who is? You are. Ordinary families are. Teachers, nurses, factory workers, delivery drivers, people who don't have offshore accounts or high priced accountants, people who don't have lobbyists writing loopholes into tax codes. Trump's tax returns, when finally revealed, showed years of paying little or nothing. Some years he paid less than school teachers, some years less than firefighters, and yet this man lived in penthouses, flew private jets, and maintained a lavish lifestyle that no working class person could dream of. That is not intelligence, that is theft, carried out under the protection of laws written by and for the wealthy. This scam is not unique to Trump. Amazon, Apple, and countless other corporations use the same tricks, offshoring profits, disguising income, using loopholes so complex the average worker could never hope to understand them. But Trump made the scam personal, bragging about it as proof of his cleverness, as though exploiting society were a badge of honor. The result is devastating. The public treasury is drained, schools are underfunded, healthcare remains inaccessible, infrastructure crumbles, and then when budgets run dry, politicians tell ordinary people that we can't afford universal healthcare or free college or affordable housing. But in truth, we can afford all of it. The money exists. It's just being hoarded and hidden by the wealthy elite who pay less in taxes than the people who clean their buildings or drive their limousines. The tax scam exposes the core hypocrisy of American capitalism. It claims to reward merit, but in reality it punishes labor and rewards manipulation. Those who work hardest often pay the most, while those who contribute least extract the most. And as inequality grows, the truth becomes harder to hide. Workers are waking up to the fact that the system isn't broken, it is rigged, and Trump's behavior makes that rigging impossible to deny. Trump's greatest product was never real estate, hotels, or casinos. His greatest product was himself. He sold an image, a brand, a story. The gleaming towers with golden letters, the extravagant lifestyle on full display, the carefully crafted persona of a decisive, successful businessman, all of it was theater, and like all good theater, it distracted from the truth. On television, he became the ultimate boss, a man who pointed a finger and declared, "You're fired." Millions watched, internalizing the idea that this man was the model of capitalist success. But behind the cameras, behind the brand, his businesses were collapsing, his debts were rising, his failures mounting. The illusion was more valuable than the reality, and that's what he learned to sell. Branding is one of the most powerful tools of modern capitalism. You don't have to produce quality or create real value if you can convince enough people to believe in the image. Trump used this strategy not only in business but in politics. He branded himself as an outsider, a populist, a voice for the forgotten. But like his business empire, it was all a stage set. Behind the populist slogans, he cut taxes for the rich, deregulated corporations, and used public office as a platform to expand his private profits. The scam here is cultural as much as economic. We live in an age where illusion trumps reality, where marketing is more important than substance. Politicians are not leaders but brands. Products are not judged by their utility but by their packaging, and the wealthy elite manipulate these illusions to keep the public distracted. Trump was a master at this game. He understood that if people believe you are successful, they will forgive your failures, overlook your lies, and even support you against their own interests. But illusions have limits. Eventually, reality breaks through. Workers laid off from his casinos know the truth. Contractors left unpaid know the truth. Citizens denied health care and housing while billionaires dodged taxes know the truth. The brand can distract, but it cannot erase lived experience. And today, as more people connect their struggles to systemic exploitation, the branding strategy begins to collapse. Trump's scam of branding the illusion of success is really just a reflection of capitalism itself, an economic system built more on spectacle, marketing, and image than on meeting human needs. And when that spectacle is exposed, the system itself is thrown into question. When Trump entered politics, many believed he was doing so to serve the people, to drain the swamp, to challenge the political establishment. But in reality, politics became simply another branch of his business empire. Campaign donations flowed into Trump owned properties. Hotels, golf courses, and event venues profited directly from political events. Even the presidency itself became a marketing tool, boosting his brand globally. This is not public service, this is self service. And while Trump is the most blatant example, he is far from alone. American politics has long been transformed into a marketplace where influence is bought, decisions are traded, and policies are shaped not by the will of the people, but by the highest bidder. Trump simply stripped away the subtlety and revealed the naked transaction at the heart of the system. Think about how elections are financed. Billionaires and corporations pour millions into campaigns, not as charity, but as investments. They expect returns in the form of tax cuts, deregulations, and favorable contracts. When Trump was in power, the wealthiest Americans received the largest tax overhaul in decades, a direct payoff to the donor class. Even after leaving office, Trump continues to profit from politics. Fundraising appeals bring in millions. Supporters are sold merchandise, memberships, and tickets to rallies. The movement itself has become a business model, a monetized political brand. This is the scam. Democracy turned into a marketplace where citizens are customers, votes are currency, and policies are products sold to the highest bidder. The tragedy is that many Americans believed his populist rhetoric. They believed he was fighting for the forgotten worker, the small business owner, the struggling farmer. In reality, he governed for the same elites he pretended to oppose because he is one of them. His wealth, his connections, his lifestyle place him firmly among the ruling class, no matter what slogans he used on stage. By exposing politics as a business venture, Trump inadvertently revealed the broader truth. American democracy has been hollowed out by money. It is not one man's corruption, it is systemic corruption. And now millions see it clearly. The scam can no longer be hidden because the gap between the promises of democracy and the reality of oligarchy is too wide, too obvious, too painful to ignore. The most important question is this: why now? Why can't they hide the scam anymore? The answer is simple: because ordinary people are living the consequences every single day, and the suffering has reached a breaking point. For decades, wages have stagnated while productivity has soared. Workers create more wealth than ever before, yet their share shrinks while billionaire fortunes explode. Families drown in debt for education, healthcare, and housing, while billionaires avoid taxes and buy politicians. The contradictions are no longer abstract. They are visible in every paycheck that doesn't cover the bills, in every medical bill that drives a family to bankruptcy, in every young person unable to afford rent. Technology has also torn away the curtain. Information spreads faster than elites can suppress it. Workers in one city share their struggles with workers across the globe. People see the inequality, the corruption, the scams, and they connect the dots. Trump, with his blatant exploitation and arrogance, has become a symbol, not just of one man's corruption, but of a system that protects the rich while abandoning everyone else. The pandemic made the scam undeniable. While millions lost jobs, homes, and loved ones, billionaires doubled their wealth. And Trump, instead of leading with compassion or fairness, used the crisis to enrich allies and reward corporations. The mask slipped, the illusion shattered, and now millions no longer believe the old stories about merit, hard work, or fairness. They see the scam for what it is. This is why the scam cannot be hidden anymore, because reality has broken through the illusion, because the suffering is too widespread to be denied, because too many people are asking questions that elites cannot answer without exposing their own complicity. And this, my friends, is both dangerous and hopeful. Dangerous because elites will fight to protect their power with lies, propaganda, and repression. Hopeful because history shows us that when the majority wakes up, when the scam is exposed, change becomes possible. Revolutions, reforms, transformations, they all begin with the moment people stop believing the lies. Trump's scam is not just his own, it is the scam of an entire economic and political system. And now they can't hide it anymore. The question before us is simple: will we allow the scam to continue, or will we use this moment to demand something better, something fairer, something truly democratic? That choice, as always, belongs to us.